This is the jQuery UI website, and you can see I've brought it up in the browser, and it's located at jQueryui.com. So let's take a quick tour of some of the features that jQuery UI provides. You can see that there's some themes that you can download. Here is a link to the demos for the different widgets and effects. And over here is where you build your download, and we'll take a look at how to do that a little bit later. So for now, let's just jump over to the library of widgets and interactions. So let's begin by exploring some of the widgets that jQuery UI gives you. Let's start off by looking at the accordion. So this is the accordion control, and you've probably seen these in other applications you've used. Accordion controls basically break content into sections that can be expanded and revealed like this, so like a little accordion. This is the basic default functionality that the accordion control gives you, but there's a lot of different properties you can set. For example, you can use the no auto height version, in which case the panels just use whatever height they've got in them, rather than the accordion just setting the height to be the same for all the panels. You also notice that in the default behavior, there's always at least one panel open, but you can use the collapse content option for the accordion, and that will allow you to close all of the panels at once. So if it's not a requirement for you to have at least one open, you can use that option. There's also an option to have it open on mouse over, and you can also do things like customize the icons. So you can see here there's custom icons. So that's the accordion control. Let's take a look at another one. Let's take a look at the date picker. The date picker, you've probably seen this on websites as well. You click on a field, out comes a date picker, you pick a date and it goes away. The date picker control also has a variety of options that you can set. For example, you can restrict the range of dates that the user can choose. You can see that these are grayed out here, and if I scroll forward, you see at some point we come to an end of a range. You can also display things like month and year menus. So now you've got menus up here for month and year, and I can change those. You can also display multiple months. You get the idea. There's a whole bunch of options that are available on the date picker widget. Let's look at the next one. There's also a dialog. Again, you've probably seen these before. These are layers that appear as dialogues, and there's a whole bunch of options you can set in these as well. This is a basic dialog. You can drag it around, you can resize it, you can close it, but you can also do things like modal dialogues. So a modal dialog will gray out the rest of the screen, forcing you to interact with the dialog before you can do anything else. You can see I can click around in here and nothing is happening. I have to deal with this dialog and make it go away before the page comes back. There's a couple of different modal options. So here's a message where I have to click OK, or use a modal form where I have to fill out. So here I've got this form of information, and when I click Create New User, a nice little dialog pops up, and I got to fill in the information before I move forward. So this is Jane Doe, and Jane at doe.com, and so on. And create an account, and look, there's a little error. I didn't fill it in. You get the idea. Okay, let's move on. Let's look at the progress bar. The progress bar is a UI widget that shows the user how far along they are in a task. So here you got the default functionality where you have a progress bar, and there's a function that you call to set how far along you are in a task. There's also an animated progress bar, and this is a progress bar that's filling in the background image with some animation, and there's also a progress bar that you can resize. I'm not sure why you'd ever want to do that, but you can. Let's look at the next one. There's a slider control. This is a pretty neat control. The slider control basically lets you grab a little handle and move it between a range of values. And again, you've probably seen this on plenty of other websites. This is used to set how much you're willing to pay for a hotel room, for example. And there's a whole bunch of options that go along with the slider control. So this is the default, but we can also have it do things like snap to increments. In this case, it's snapping to increments of 50. You can also define sliders that have ranges. You don't want a price range between two numbers. You can also do things vertically. So this is the same slider idea, only it's vertical. You can see that there's a vertical range. You can also do multiple sliders. So here you have like a graphic equalizer kind of thing going on along with volume. And then finally, this is a pretty nice example of a color picker, implemented using the slider control. And finally, let's take a look at tabs. The tabs control, again, you've probably seen these on websites. The idea here is you've taken a bunch of content in various divs in your page and you've divided it up in such a way that you use tab control to make them appear as clickable tabs. So again, this is what it looks like by default. You can have open on mouse over. You can do things like get the content via Ajax. So click on that tab and it goes out to the server and gets it. You can also do things like collapsible content. So you can see that I'm clicking on the tab that happens to be open and that's collapsing it down. And you can do things that are sortable. So I can drag that tab over here and so on. So that's a quick tour of the widgets that are available in jQuery UI. In order to use these widgets, what you'll do is you'll download the jQuery UI and implement them in your code. So let's just do a quick example. Let's go back to the accordion and let's take a look at the code. So you can see that to use the accordion, it's actually pretty simple. All you really need to do is call the accordion method on the item that you want to become an accordion. So in this source code right here, you see that there's a div and it's given an ID of accordion. And then to create the accordion control, it follows some internal structure. But to create the accordion control, you just simply call the accordion method on the object. And it's just that simple. There are some parameters you can set as well, but using these controls is really pretty easy.